Okay, NXT, the show after the 30th anniversary of Raw. Guys, before I get started, I gotta say this. I have to. I saw just Alex's review. Pretty much. I saw JD's review. And I'm like, I guess there's something wrong with me. Maybe there is. I did say that I've been under stress, so I guess my understanding of what's going on with Raw, where pretty much almost everything was very similar. Didn't Brock Lesnar mess over Bobby Lashley before, and now we're getting it again? The Bloodline segment was great. It was wonderful, and I did hear there was some type of issue. That's the reason why they changed it. And I can put it aside because the segment was so good for the trial. But then you decide to stop the steel cage match, not have it all. But then you give a Bianca Belair and Sonya Deville match, which really didn't mean much, which people would have probably wanted to see more of the steel cage than that, when this show literally needed something extra. It needed a oomph. Guys, the 30th anniversary needed an oomph. It was a good show. I'm not going to say it wasn't. I'm not going to say it was total trash. It wasn't. It was a good show. But we're talking about something that means something important. Look, I had stopped watching wrestling 1 year before this started. Well, a year and a half before it started, because I was going to school a lot. So I didn't really watch a lot of Monday Night Raw. I didn't. By the time I even started watching Raw was in 2002. Everything in between that, I missed it. I missed all those things because 95% of the time I couldn't watch it. 1, I was working. 2, I was depressed. 3, I was married and my wife didn't really care about that kind of stuff. She didn't care about wrestling, so she didn't want to watch it. And I couldn't watch it, particularly my son wasn't going to be interested in it. So I missed all that stuff. So you would think the 30th anniversary, there should be a little bit extra, but didn't feel like it. But that's me. So easily, I'm the one that's wrong, and the really great reviewers are right. So, I'm just saying. So, what do we get in this show? A good show. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but it was good. Let's open with they had it looks like it might have been on Instagram or on TikTok. I think TikTok. And they show Grayson Waller going into the PE, the Performance Center, and messing with a Braun Breaker and destroying the place in a sense. And they're going to have another at it later in the night, which I will talk about, which I will say is actually quite good, but I'll explain it later. So, the opening of this show was with Indy Hartwell versus Did I like Titney Stratton? Or should I call it Titney Stratton? Because there's a lot of titty there. She's okay. Tiffany isn't that bad. I mean, she doesn't talk incredibly well, but she is still green. She has a great look, but like most of the women on the roster that's like this, she's got a lot of competition where there's a lot of women that's either her height, a little bit tall, a little bit lower, that have curves just like her. Wrestling, for that matter, is going to be a big question because seeing her in this one match against Indy, she's okay. But Indy Hartwell is a better wrestler. And she had to literally go from here down to here. And she had to let her win through basically a fake out, which is understandable. That's how a chicken shit heel is supposed to act. That was one of the first things I noticed about this episode. I'll explain the other one in a minute. But that was the first thing that got me. A chicken shit heel on NXT. They still do them, but that looked a little... Well, not chicken shit. She did act like she was hurt. Until she decked her and then do a better moonsault. Then Charlotte Flair, her moonsault looked great, even though she missed Indy. She did miss Indy quite a lot. Her boobs didn't land on Indy's chest. It landed past Indy's chest, and her face landed almost literally in Indy's waist and chest. Almost. She was just slightly off. Still looked alright. And a Booker T was trying to push for her. So at least she is getting something from the commentary team. And I gotta say this. Vic Joseph, I wish, was running Monday Night Raw along with Corey Graves. I really wish. I beg Corey Graves, to have him there. I'm hoping Pat McAfee will come back soon, and Pat will go back to SmackDown with Michael Cole, and then you'll get pretty much a Stu Bennett or Wade Barrett on Monday Night Raw. I'm hoping for that. That's what I want. I want Stu Bennett or Stu Barrett, Wade Barrett, on Monday Night Raw. Let him work with Corey Graves. I think it'll be a better dynamic than what we got with the guy there. I don't even remember his name. He sounds so bad in his Irish accent, I believe. Not British, Irish. Let's move on. Second match. McDonough versus a Chase U and Andre Chase. Now, we got a Thea getting an award because she just won her first match. And Andre made it very clear. Andre made it so clear that she wasn't doing much. She was not getting anywhere until she won her match. And now she's won this award. And McDonough makes it very clear, hey, let's put this in perspective. This is stupid. You being with these guys, he's talking to Thea, you are working with idiots. You don't need to work with idiots. This is advice for you. And Andre got pissed off and decided after he told McDonough that he doesn't need to be ready. He's always ready. That kind of reminds you of one person always ready. Decks him and then they have the match. Now, the thing about JD McDonough is that he's a great wrestler with an interesting character that has not really gotten very far. Because they've used him in storylines to promote other people, but pretty much he's been stagnant, staying here. Now, of course, he did win his match because what? Duke walks away because he believes that Andre doesn't believe in him, which he shouldn't because Duke has his own agenda. But I really feel bad for JD McDonough because I do like him. He's a unique individual. He's a sawed-off runt that will rip your head off. That is a Wolverine right there. That's Wolverine right there. That sawed-off little runt is Wolverine. The only thing we need is the claws and him going and basically tearing your ass apart. That is Wolverine. That's what I want to see. But the way they book him, I just don't see it. So I just don't know where they're going to go with him. They're just using him to promote other storylines, which really is a detriment to him. I really believe they should be pushing him. He has his own place. He may not be as big as the biggest wrestlers, but due to the fact of how well he wrestles, good talking, but his viciousness while he wrestles really helps. But that's just me. Next, we got a match. Fallon and Akira James together. And that's due to, Jensen and Briggs I think it was Jensen who made the arrangements. I think he was the one that did it. And how was that match? It was okay. In the end, it was Akira just won the match by cheating. She helped out Farron quite a lot to help her to win by cheating. And in the end, you see that Briggs and Jensen are really proud of Farron, proud of James. But then Jensen said, I went over to Shawn Michaels. I was scared as hell. I was going to piss him out. Well, not piss him out, but basically piss a river because I was scared. And he made it very clear. He gave me an idea and Shawn went with it. Now, he had convinced Shawn for those two to get a tag title match. And Farron was not into it at first. Of course, later she was, and I'll talk about that. But you see they are trying to push these two as a tag team, which is fine. They don't have enough tag teams in NXT anyway. They got to do something. So seeing a new tag team like those two, I'm fine with. Now, the Creed brothers versus, how can I say this? When the Creeds decided to go to Drew Gulak and his new students along with Hank, and this seems too bright, and they were practicing, and then an attitude happened, we get this match, which kind of makes sense because Drew Gulak and the Creed brothers are both perfectionists. They're both pro wrestling, well, not just pro wrestling, amateur wrestlers. They are very good at their craft. So we got a match. And in the end, of course, the Creeds were going to win because there's no way they're going to walk away from Alan Shearer with a Jinder Mahal. Now, I know if, I don't know if JD even's going to see this or review it. I know he hates a Jinder Mahal. And I understand it. I never said I was a fan of Jinder Mahal. I just wanted, like I've said multiple times over the years since 2016 when he became champ, that a mid to lower card, if he has talent, push him in there. Just throw him in there and see what happens. That's what I wanted. That's what made me happy, and he was the one. Now, was he great? No. Does he have great charisma? No. Does he have great ring work? No. He's average in the ring. And average in-ring work, average mic work, average work rate in the ring. He's just average. But that doesn't mean he can't be able to help others. And seeing Alan Shearer getting help from Jinder Mahal. And this is something I want to make very clear to some people. Sometimes people don't understand. You think sometimes to be the best, you need to be trained by the best. No. To be the best pro wrestler you could ever be, no matter if you're a man or woman, you need to be trained properly. Not just by the best that's ever known, like a Hulk Hogan. You actually think people was trained by Hulk Hogan? I've never heard anyone being trained by Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair? Now, this guy made sure whenever he was in the ring, he tried to make anyone look better if he knew they had something in them, so he brought it out of them. So you can have a Hulk Hogan who's heavily charismatic, but not really great in the ring. And then you got a Ric Flair. Yes, he is very charismatic, but he's more of a ring general that knows how to make every move count, that can bring something out of you. So when you look at a Jinder Mahal, who is an average wrestler, he could teach somebody the fundamentals that could get them somewhere. Because always what they say, learn something from somebody, the basics, and take that basics and make something out of it if you got that talent. So if Jinder is actually teaching them something, because he's been in the business for many years, no matter if you like him or not. And I'm not saying I'm a fan of Jinder Mahal. He's all right. He's a okay wrestler, like I said, average. But it doesn't mean he isn't a good, capable teacher. He could be teaching them stuff that could really help in the main roster. Not saying it will, but you never know. So next week they're going to have a match. Hopefully it's going to work. Now, we get Wendy Chu versus Elektra Lopez. And Valentina, I believe her name is Valentina. She was at ringside. And you can see that Elektra's trying her best to try and teach this girl to do whatever it takes to get ahead. Now, let me give it to you like this. Delgado El Fantasma. Finally, I'm getting the name down properly because I'm watching SmackDown more. That's where they are. When I saw him, Santo Escobar. When I saw El Toro, I didn't know his name. And I saw Wild. I didn't know his name. I could see there was something, but something wasn't catching me. Due to the fact I wasn't watching NXT anyway, I wasn't going to care that much about them. But I noticed that they were something, along with Zelina Vega. They are doing something. So then when you see Elektra Lopez, a very curvy woman. I'm not taking anything away from her beauty. That girl is gorgeous. She got the nice curves. She talks very well. And that's one of the reasons why she was their handler for quite a while before Zelina Vega. That girl could talk. She had the looks that was killer. She had the good talking ability. Ring work, that is a big problem. I'm not saying she's bad. She's not. She's not bad. She's on, how can I say this? She's not a bad wrestler. She's like, the very good wrestlers are here. You got the garbage down here that really need to try and work themselves. She's like somewhere here, somewhere floating between average to below average. Sometimes she gets a little bit more above average, but she kind of fluctuates in between those three states. Below, mid, and above. So far in this match, it was average. There's nothing wrong with it. She had okay work. In the end, she pulls out some brass and again used some brass knucks to help a match to be succeed on the side that she wanted. This time, it was with her instead of a Valentina. Valentina didn't like it, but the point is she's trying to convince this woman to see her point of view. Now, either one or two things going to happen. Either she's going to turn away from an Elektra, or she's going to work with her and maybe she'll be a tag team, which the women badly need. Let's be honest, they got no freaking tag title picture. They only have a few women, and there's nothing there. They need to bring up more women from the Performance Center to really help NXT. They are bringing more women up. So seeing that they're trying to get these women together, well, Sean is, and then they're going to probably bring in more women like a Valkyria, like a Ala Dawn, which I will get to in a minute. It hopefully will work. Now, since I'm talking about that, you got Alba Fire versus the tag champs by herself. She was not interested in anybody working with her, so she was willing to go after them. But guess what? Solrika, the cute one, the problem child a little bit. Look, I'll say this. Was the match bad? No. It was fine. Alba Fire did their part. Carter and Chance did well. When it comes to Solrika, she's a beautiful woman. She can talk well. She's highly athletic. If she was, a D3? I can't remember what she was in her class. I can't remember what she was. D something. Can't remember. It's D or C? Division D or Division C, I believe. I think Division D. She's a great gymnast. There's no way she's not. But there has to be a balance, as I've said multiple times. You need a balance. Right now, there's more gymnastics than pro wrestling. She needs to crank that back and do this. At least this. No one's telling her to get rid of the gymnastic ability. She's damn good at it. But she needs to incorporate more fundamental wrestling than outright gymnastic. She's still here. She needs to be a little bit more here. Not here and not here. To forget this. She doesn't need it. She can still get it done. She just got to crank a little bit. Make more fundamental pro wrestling. Then a little bit more of the gymnastics. And understand psychology. That's what I hope Sean will give her. He needs to teach her that she needs psychology. Just doing the moves is not enough. She needs to know when to do the moves. When is it appropriate not only to do the moves, but will it benefit her partner more than it'll benefit her if she's singles or in a tag? She needs work. In the end, they lost due to the fact Solrika got pinned. But once you see Farron and Akita James, Farron decided she'll join them, and now they're going to have a match, I believe, at Judgment Day. No, not Judgment Day. What was it? Vengeance. My mistake. I said Judgment Day. I guess what happened with Judgment Day yesterday wasn't bad, but still. I think it's due to the fact of how well I'm beginning to feel a Dominic when he's in the ring now, due to the fact that he's got this persona of being a hardened criminal, where I said yesterday that he wouldn't stand a chance in Rikers. Well, I botched my words said. Look, the real person who's wrestling, Rey Mysterio's son, I hope he never goes to jail. No one deserves that. But his character, this sumbitch who thinks after a couple of hours in jail makes him a hardened criminal, he deserves to get his ass whooped by the boys in Rikers right now. If he went in there, they smack his ass and make him their bitch. That's what I want. But you get my point. Let's move on. Now, let's see. That's done. Okay. We got to fight. Like I said earlier, the fight that happened in the Performance Center between Grayson and Braun again happens on NXT TV. But this time around, when Grayson screwed with Braun in the back, because Braun was trying to stay in the locker room, not trying to do anything, but he got sick of it, grabbed his title, went outside, a fight ensued, and Braun got so annoyed, so angry, he wanted to tear him so... You could hear. Guys, you could literally hear Braun hitting Grayson that hard in his back. He legitimately did a pound on his back. Like Grayson owed him money. They wanted to make this so legitimate. Now, most of the time, they're not that physical. But I heard it, and I'm sure so did you. When you heard him go whack on his back, that wasn't a light hit either. That was a solid pound on the back of Grayson Waller. But then when you see a Braun Breaker broke through the retaining wall, which is a foam or wooden wall that is supposed to keep the spectators in, and, the spectators out and the wrestlers in, he broke through that thing. It was basically wood or just plywood or more like foam, really hard foam. He broke right through it. They patched up the spot, but it makes it very interesting. I gotta say this. Am I waiting for that steel cage? Yes, I am. I want to see how Grayson's gonna work in that steel cage, and I definitely want to see Braun. I'm not a big Braun breakup fan. I'm not. He's good. He's got great potential to become a great wrestler on the roster if he's promoted and booked correctly. But he ain't there yet. He's got at least another year or two before he's really ready to go onto the main roster. They're crazy enough to do it now. So I want to see how he responds in the steel cage. I want to see when he's dealing with someone like that in the steel cage. It's not just if this is, let's say it's the second time he's in the steel cage. I'm not saying that. But whether it's the first time or the fifth time, it counts on your partner. And this is also a chance for Braun to deal with a Grayson Waller or someone totally different, with an attitude that's different than a Tyler Banks, than a McDonough, than a Dragunov, or a in a sense an Apollo Crews. Yeah, I know they did the barber segment. I'm not going to talk about that. I want to see how far they're going to go with beyond that. So I'm not talking about it. But you get my point. Finally, we get the summit. The summit of the three contenders of vengeance. That is JC, that is Gigi, and that's Roxy. All three of them are there. And we did see segments separate when JC was talking and when it came to Gigi. Both of them trying to basically chew out the other one. And when they were at the table and they were chewing each other out, did it feel believable? This is where I say, not bad, ladies. Because were they doing something great in the ring? No. Did it feel fake a little bit? Yes, it did. I could tell that something was about to happen. Was it that one of them was going to attack or the other one was going to attack? I didn't expect them both to attack. Not saying that I truly believe that Toxic Attraction was over, but if it was over, I would say, well, it's understandable because no more of a Mandy Rhodes. They got to do something with these women because at this point, they feel empty without Mandy. Mandy was really giving them the driving force. Without them having her there, they had to try and fall back on what they had before they met her, before they became Toxic Attraction. So when it comes down to it, they needed more. So seeing them argue between each other like two hens with their heads cut off, like two bitches, just attacking one another, wasn't bad. Was it great? No. It looked fake a bit. And then the problem, I think, is due to the fact of the inexperience of a Roxanne Perez. I'm not against her. I like Roxy. She's great. But you can tell the way she talks, she still feels very green. Yes, she's been doing this since she was 15 or 16 years old. And she's now 21 now. She still doesn't feel truly developed yet. Like when she really has to not just own her character, but to make the character feel believable, not just by her words, by her actions, but by her attitude. And her attitude still feels very, very shaky at this time. Very green. Yes, she did say, they always put a Booker T there. Still love me Booker T, but sucky, quack, quack. Give me something more, baby. Let me see something other than a Booker T. I would love to see wouldn't it be great to see Big E in that place and let his attitude reign a little bit as a reviewer until he's fully recovered if he can. That's what I want to see with a Big E. If he can't wrestle now for a while still because he's not fully recovered yet, let him do interviews. Let him do the special things. Let him still be on TV. Let him be with New Day, which was there, and now there's supposed to be a special match that's going to make it into a fatal four-way, whoever wins next week. But you get my point. That's what I want. But going back to Roxy, she still feels shaky. She said pretty much, well, you know what? I wish I had some popcorn because I'm enjoying this because you two mess with everybody. You mess with me. Now you're messing with each other. It's what you get. Toxic Attraction. What? toxic attraction's a bitch, or being toxic is a bitch. Toxic bitch, or bitches. But in the end, what did we get? We got them turning as they were facing one another like they were about to go off the air. They looked at a Roxy and they basically whooped her ass, put her through a table, and they both hold up the titles. Does it mean they're going to be up against each other when the time comes? Yeah, I do believe that they will betray one another when the time's right. They just did this plan because they knew that was the only option. So, not bad, ladies. It wasn't a great segment, but at least they're doing something with them, and they're trying to bring out more of their own characters since there's no Mandy Rhodes. I'm just saying this was not a bad show. Is it better than the 30-year anniversary? I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let you guys decide. Since JD said it was excellent, since Just Alex said it was excellent, I'm going to let you guys look at it. For me personally, I'm not going to give my opinion on how bad or how good it was. I've already said it earlier. But what do you guys think? Tell me below on this show on the 30th anniversary. Peace.